All right, baby. Today's Friday. It's April 9th. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. True Crime Friday. True Crime Alley. How are you?
Good. We're back.
We're back. We're back in studio. How's the car? How's everything holding up?
It's good. It's good as new.
It is?
All fixed.
Yeah.
All fixed and brand new.
You got hit and runnered, right?
I
hit
did.
and run.
Hit and runner. Found them, though.
Yeah? Oh,
so
you
they
did?
didn't run too far.
Oh, there you go. That's good. Well, good to be back in studio with you, Allie. We obviously have a good show planned for today. But before we hop into it, I want to talk about Chevy Drive Chicago. We were at the dealership yesterday. We went to a local Chevy dealership, and we were hanging out there checking out some cars. We saw the service stations, brakes, tires, batteries. Allie, they're the best place to go. Don't go anywhere else. Go to the ChevyDriveChicago.com. You could see all their local dealerships, and you should get your service done there. So they're also offering that Patrick Kane signed jersey as well. That's still available. Go to ChevyDriveChicago.com, and you could enter to win, and that's really all there is to it. So you should definitely go do that, because who doesn't want a signed Kaner jersey? Because, it's time. It's been time. You've been talking about getting that car for a long time now. And your local Chevy dealer has a hat trick to get your attention if you're in need of a new vehicle but don't want to visit a dealership. You could check out Chevy Shop, Click, and Drive. You could shop online 24/7, take delivery at home. It's simple, it's seamless, it's smart. All you have to do is shop, click, and drive. Head to ChevyDriveChicago.com to find your new ride, latest offers, and local Chevy dealer. Also, Allie, I must say, we're in the midst of the Masters. Are you a golf girl? You could be honest here.
No.
No? Okay. Well, that's fine.
I'm learning, though.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what. You should still download the Barstool Golf Time app.
Okay. Help me learn?
Yes, it'll help you learn. So if you're like, hey, I want to find like an easier course. Maybe I only want to do 9. I want to start slow.
Can work with that.
Yes, it gives you course reviews, everything like that.
Okay.
So it's nice.
That's actually really cool.
Yes. It's a great app. So you should definitely go download Barstool Golf Time. You can go check it out. Thousands of courses are available on there. Riggs, Frankie, Trent, Lurch, all their reviews are on there. Like I said, the best course, the most fun course, the best value course, the cheapest. That's important.
Those are all really good things to have it all in one place.
It is. Definitely is. So go check that out, Barstool Golf Time app. All right, Allie.
All right.
Today's Michelle Lee.
Yes, Michelle Lee, which is, I don't know. I haven't heard a lot of people who have heard this story, but it was relatively a well-known story. We are headed over to the San Francisco Bay Area. So we're back on the West Coast. It's been a little bit since we've been on the West Coast.
Was this a submission? Was this a listener?
No.
Okay.
This was just one I pulled out.
You've been on the case, okay.
Yep.
All right, so West Coast.
Yes, we're on the West Coast. So Michelle Lee was a 26-year-old nursing student, and she was studying like I said, in the San Francisco Bay Area. She was getting ready to finish up nursing school, which, those of you who are in the medical field are studying nursing, all that, it's not an easy profession to go into. You have to learn all that. And then, along with all the schooling, you have to do your rotations and all that good stuff. So Michelle was actually finishing up. She was at school when this happened, and this was one of the last requirements she needed for her degree. And she actually mysteriously disappeared in May of 2011. So, like I said, Michelle was at class on the evening of May 27th, 2011, when the class let out for a break. So, 10, 15 minutes, Michelle tells her friends, hey, I'm going to run to my car really quick. I need to get some medication that I need to take, and then I'll be back for when we pick back up. Michelle's friend, who she told she was running out to her car, received a weird text message while Michelle was, quote unquote, at her car saying, hey, I'm driving to Reno for the weekend. I'll see you later, which was like total 180. So like, hey, I'm running out to my car to get some meds. I'll be back in a few minutes. To, hey, I'm taking a weekend trip. I'm dipping out on class, even though it's one of the last things I need to graduate. Like, see ya. So that was just like right off the bat, just like that was weird. And then the break ended and Michelle's not back. So now people are starting to get worried. Her friends are like, okay, she said she was just running out to her car. Now she's going to Reno. And it switched very quickly.
I mean, that's strange, too, because, everyone's been in a class with a break. And if you're going to leave, if you're not coming back for the second half, usually you'd let your friends know that are in the class.
Yeah. Like, why say, hey, I'll be right back?
Yeah.
If we're not going to. I mean, especially, it's not like she straight up went up to the professor and was like, hey, I'm dipping out.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, I'll be right back. I'm just running out to my car. So, and even if she was like truly driving to Reno for the weekend, you would think she would just be like, hey, like I'm not coming back. I'm actually going on a road trip.
Exactly.
Don't expect me to be back. So worried that she didn't return, her friends and now the staff members at the medical center that they were at for this class, everybody started to look for her. They went out to track her down, and they could not find her. They went out to where her car was. She was parked in the parking garage. They couldn't find her. They walked around, couldn't find her. They contacted campus security. No one could locate her. And so after, everybody's looking for her now, she can't get a hold of her. Got this weird text message. Now everyone's looking for her. They can't find her. It starts to kind of take a turn to, okay, we might be dealing with something more serious here than her just taking off for the weekend or her just like not knowing where she is for a couple of minutes. And it started to become more obvious that something sinister had happened, because in that short time window that Michelle had tried to run to her car, now we can't find her, we can't find her car, and we can't get a hold of her. And like, she was very serious about her studies, and being that this was the last thing she needed to do for her to finish nursing school, is like, that did not fit why she would have just dipped out like that. So the search continues, and the next morning around 9 a.m., they find Michelle's Honda SUV parked about half a mile away from the parking garage that she was parked in. And there was visibly blood inside the vehicle. So now we know something is wrong, and still no Michelle though. There was her car, blood inside the car. Michelle is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, the car's not in Reno, obviously.
Yeah, the car is not in Reno. It's half a mile away from the parking garage, which is like, there's no reason for it. Essentially, her home, didn't live half a mile away. She didn't work half a mile away. There's no reason for her to be that distance from
Was it like
school.
in a certain spot, did you see? Was it like just on the side of the road or?
No, it didn't say it was like an abandoned kind of vehicle. It was just, it was half a mile away, which was just odd in and of itself.
Yeah, just park somewhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the family immediately is on the hunt for her. They start putting up billboards. They put up a reward of $65,000 for any information that could lead to her whereabouts. But the case grows cold quickly, which was really surprising to me because, okay, granted, the police always know more than they let on, naturally, because they can't let the public know everything. But the fact that it took months and months and months of searching for her to come up with nothing. There's billboards, there's a reward. We have her car. We have blood inside her car. To me, it's 2011. Like, we are technologically advanced at this point.
Yep.
That it grew cold so quickly, just like blew my mind. And like I said, they were searching for months, and they were doing, and this is not to say, even though it took months and months and months of searching, the police were doing their job. They were doing exhaustive investigative searches, multiple searches and land searches, like using their technology, using their resources to try and find her. But it's literally like she just walked out into thin air, and no one has any idea where she went or what happened to her.
Not even a sighting, nothing, which is horribly, just a horrible bad beat, like where that no one could even locate like anything, like not a shadow, not a car, nothing.
No, which is like, we have this huge piece of evidence being her car with blood inside it, and we still can't put these pieces together or find her at all. And it's even more, it's almost like heightened because it was such a odd circumstance where she literally just like walked out and disappeared, versus like, oh, she was in a bad area. Oh, she was, she was driving and her car broke down and she, ran into foul play. Someone broke into her house. Like, it was none of that. It was literally just completely out of the blue. Mm-hmm. So police, on the other hand, immediately from the beginning, they suspected foul play. Obviously, they found the car with blood in it. They're going to expect foul play. But it's suspected that it was foul play at the hands of someone who had known her. So this kind of narrows their search down that it wasn't random. And now the question is, okay, who did she know that would want to harm her or make her disappear? So during the course of the investigation, a former friend of Michelle's named Giselle Esteban was found to have somewhat of a motive against Michelle. She had this growing hatred towards her, like more and more over the past couple months or so, because Giselle was dating a guy named Scott. And Giselle and Michelle were used to be, two peas in a pod, connected at the hip. They even during high school, like they were friends in high school, they decided college came around, they were going to study the same thing. They were both going to go into nursing. However, they started growing apart because one, they attended different schools. And two, Michelle was, like I said, she was into her studies. She was driven. This is what she wanted. Not to say that Giselle didn't want it, but Michelle started to kind of excel in her studies. She was getting closer and closer to her nursing career, whereas Giselle kind of ran into a couple blips along the way, and she was more so struggling with her school. She got pregnant, ended up having a child in the middle of school, so that definitely puts some things on hold, and she's not able to kind of do things just for her anymore. And that was she was starting to get jealous of Michelle in that sense. Now Scott comes into the picture. All three of them are friends, and Michelle and Scott like have a thing or kind of date for like a very short period of time, like a couple of weeks. And then they're like, nah, like this isn't really for us. It ended very mutually. They stayed friends. Like it didn't break up the friend group. It didn't, like, they were like, cool, we tried it. Didn't work. I'm not really into you. You're not really into me.
No harm, no foul.
Right. And then later down the road, Giselle and Scott start dating. Giselle gets pregnant with Scott's child. So now Giselle is pregnant with her second child. Also, trying to finish nursing school, doing all these other things as a young mother. And Giselle is not only growing increasingly jealous of Michelle's, her path to success here, of what they both wanted. But Giselle is, for some reason, absolutely convinced that Scott and Michelle are still involved with each other. Not that she has any proof, not that there actually is anything going on, but is like straight up, there is no convincing her otherwise. So now we've got this love triangle situation while Giselle is pregnant with Scott's baby. So in this situation, Scott was damned if he did, damned if he didn't. Even if he were involved with Michelle, which he, to this day, I will say, there was literally nothing going on with us. So even if he was or wasn't, Giselle was still convinced that he was. So he might as well have been in this point, because he was not winning in this situation
There was
at
no
all.
way.
Right. And, Giselle was just this like irate human. She was so angry with Scott. She was talking trash about Michelle. And like I said, she would not believe Scott no matter what he said. And until the words would have came out of his mouth, yes, we are involved, she would not accept anything less. And it wasn't even true. So she started taking matters into her own hands. And there is straight up proof of this, because Scott secretly recorded a conversation between him and Giselle of basically Giselle just yelling at him, being like, Michelle is trash, saying these like terrible things about Michelle, saying, this is your last and final warning that you need to cut her out of your life completely, because I know something's going on, and that's not going to fly. If it doesn't, you're both going to pay for it. And was like straight up death threats. Was like, you guys, I'm going to finish you guys. Like, and Scott was secretly recording this, which like really came back to bite Giselle in the ass, because she straight up had and was the only person with a motive here.
That didn't like her actively, like hated her.
Right. And so Giselle so she had that conversation with Scott. She was, again, no matter what Scott said, she was not pleased with his answer. So she was like, all right, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. Giselle started stalking Michelle and trying to track down her whereabouts. So she started trying to get her home address, her school schedule, where she was going to be, when she was going to be there. And she was doing this best. She was calling around to pretend to be like Michelle's friend, or looking for Michelle, trying to locate her, being like, hey, she's supposed to pick me up. I just don't know where she is. Can you tell me where she is? Or that sort of thing, like acting innocent, trying to just obtain information. Mm-hmm. And she even went as far as, once she figured out where Michelle was going to be, like school-wise, she went to that building. She saw the secretary, receptionist, whoever was sitting there at the desk. And she was like, hey, I'm here waiting for so-and-so. And, the receptionist was like, oh, well, they're not here yet. Like, why don't you wait with me until they get here? So Giselle goes and is like sitting at the reception desk with this lady. And the receptionist like walks away for a second to go grab something or do something really quick. And there's a bin of access badges to the building, to the medical center, like sitting there for people who, whatever, were on vacation or were out of office for whatever reason, had to turn in their badge until they got back. Giselle just picks a badge out of the pile and now has an access key to access anywhere in that medical center.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like fucking movie shit.
Yeah. So
that's
you can,
like crazy serial killer like movie shit. Holy
right?
cow.
I mean, she's going to all lengths here. There is no stopping her.
It really is.
So she's got this access badge, and then you can see on security footage, she is going around into all these different offices and classrooms and whatnot, looking through files and desktops and trying to obtain information. She eventually finds a roster with Michelle's name on it and her class schedule. So now she knows where Michelle is going to be and when she's going to be there. Meaning okay, so this brings us back to May 27th, 2011. Michelle went to run out to her car on her break. Giselle knew that that's where she was going to be. She knew where Michelle's car was. And Michelle walks out to her car to just go run and actually grab some medication. No plans to go to Reno. And Giselle is there waiting for her and attacks her. And this is why there's blood in Michelle's car, attacks her, kills her. And Giselle is seen on security footage coming into the garage and then out of the garage, like in between when Michelle went missing. So the problem is there was like a security camera right above Michelle's car and it wasn't working, which is like, it could have solved all our issues here. Not that, we'll get into it, but not that they didn't have enough to charge Giselle, but it's just like, it's the security camera is never working when you need it to.
It really never is.
And that's like, people rely so heavily on those because those can tell everything in a matter of seconds. But unfortunately, not in this situation. It was not able to. So phone records, then police get a subpoena for Giselle and Michelle's phone records, and they track the pings from the towers, and they were tracking essentially along the same route the entire time in the time frame that Michelle went missing. And they are traveling along this route to an area called Sunol Canyon. And this was immediately after that, 15-minute break where Michelle was supposed to be running to her car and never came back. Now their phones are both traveling at the same path to this canyon area. And that's when Michelle never came back. So they tested the blood in the car and it was found to be Michelle's. So they know at one point she was in there bleeding significantly. And at this point, like I said, it's been months. So essentially they're looking for a body now, not a missing person. And so May 27th, that's when she went missing. 2 days later, on May 29th, Hayward PD did a search of Giselle's home, which to me is pretty quick. Like, they're starting to put these pieces together pretty quickly to be like, hey, this is our suspect, and we're now get a warrant to search her home within 2 days.
Very quick.
Yeah. And they found a pair of Giselle's shoes with Michelle's blood on them. So right there, pretty damning evidence.
Big time. I mean, that's exactly what you would need for.
That's your nail in the coffin.
That's all you need. I mean, you need more to actually convict and everything, but to just be like, all right, hey,
to make an arrest,
we got something here. Let's move in.
So, again, that was May 29th. On September 7th, so it took a little while to build this case, but September 7th, Giselle Esteban was arrested and charged with the murder of Michelle Lee. Now, she was charged with Michelle's murder, even though they had not found her body yet. But they had so much evidence against her. Michelle's car, some security footage, obviously the security footage of her going around with the access card, bloody shoes with Michelle's blood in her apartment, the whole 9 yards. It's very, very hard to try a homicide case with no body. But if you're going to, this essentially was one of the best situations you could have asked for. So 10 days later, September 17th, 2011, the 8th search for Michelle's body was underway. And they're using, they're using their police resources. They've got volunteer searches that are out helping them as well. There's these organizations that their purpose is to help find missing people or provide those resources to find missing people. So they were also aiding in the searches, and they work with police a lot. So it wasn't just like, your Joe Schmo off the street looking for a body. And during this 8th search, one of the searchers found a decomposed human remains in a remote canyon off of the area called Sunnel. So Sunnel Canyon is just east of Fremont for anyone who's West Coast. That doesn't mean much to me because I don't know California very well, but for those who do in the Bay Area, the remains, though, again, this is the 8th search. It has been months at this point, and they had undergone so much decomp that they could not identify who it was. They couldn't even identify the gender of the person that was here. So, I mean, you're dealing with next to nothing here. 2 days later, the remains were positively identified as Michelle Lee, which, I think when they found the body, it wasn't necessarily a huge question mark of who it is, but they had to, be able to positively identify. And due to the state of decomp that she was in, they could not determine a cause of death during her autopsy, which is that's hard because you're not bringing as much closure to a case, not even knowing how she died. Yeah. Obviously, it was a violent and gruesome death, it being the state of her car and the fact that she was dumped in this canyon somewhere. But she was so badly decomp and she was there for so long that, there was no way to determine the cause of death, which, again, it's a bummer, but they already had enough to charge Giselle with murder. Now they have a body. That's the biggest piece that you need. So Giselle was then indicted on the murder charges December 14th of 2011. So this all started in May. We're now at December. She's indicted and she enters a non-guilty plea, to which these kind of cases just blow my mind that,
people even try to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the Alicia Bromfield case.
Yep.
It's you're guilty. Honestly, at this point, again, I've said it before, it's at the advisement of a defense lawyer. And, these situations, it's we're pleading not guilty just to try and get a lesser sentence if we can. Because, honestly, it's they have this much against me. What do I have to lose by pleading not guilty?
Yep.
I get it. So this means, as we know, if you enter a non-guilty plea off of an indictment, this means that your case now has to go to trial. Trials last a long time. And so that trial, again, she was indicted in December. The trial was now scheduled to take place in September of 2012. So it's a long time in between.
Big time.
So the trial actually began September 17th of 2012, which is, if you remember, September 17th, 2011 is when they found Michelle's remains. So 1 year to the day of finding Michelle's body. Her trial, Giselle's trial, was set to take place. The trial lasted about a month and a half, which is actually pretty quick for a trial, and it ended October 29th, 2012, when the jury came to a decision. And during the trial, electronic evidence became apparent, where it came out, again, they used the evidence of the phone records, and this is when Scott's secretly recorded
video
or conversation.
Audio, yeah.
That came out in court of Giselle literally threatening Scott and Michelle to kill them, having no idea she was being recorded. So she was being like super serious, not acting for a camera. She had no idea she was even being recorded. So this came out, and this was, again, this is just another huge nail in the coffin to be like, there's a motive, there's physical evidence. Now we have a body, trifecta right there. You're done. So the conversation was played in court, and this was kind of that deciding factor. And Giselle was found guilty of the murder of Michelle Lee and was sentenced to 25 to life. So after 25 years, she would be eligible for parole, not guaranteed. But when the Oakland County jury read her verdict, when her verdict was read, Giselle showed no emotion whatsoever. No remorse, no emotion that she just got sentenced to potentially life in prison, if not for the next 25 years.
Yeah.
And she was just a stone cold look on her face. And Michelle's family was there sitting in the front row, actually, and they just, this huge weight had been lifted off their shoulder, in that they had to go through this horrible tragedy of losing Michelle, but now they have got full on closure, knowing that Giselle was in fact the one who did it, and she's going away for a long, long time.
Yeah, because someone like her, she acts again. Yeah. That's not like someone who has that in them.
Yeah, that doesn't just go away.
Yeah, and like for jealousy that, Scott swears he didn't do nothing, sure, but if it's, it could be anything. If he really didn't do nothing, it could be anything. Who knows? The next boyfriend, like it could be
someone like that who is so much anger and so much determined to get revenge. It's dangerous. Even
so dangerous, yeah. And when you're stone cold like that, that just shows that you're just not
right. That doesn't help her case at all.
That's just in you.
So a couple of just fun little tidbits here that didn't really fit anywhere else in this story, but are somewhat pertinent.
Unfun.
Yes, I should say unfun facts.
Yeah, unfun, yeah.
3 days before Michelle disappeared, Scott actually filed a restraining order against Giselle because he realized, he was like, this is getting out of control. This girl is a whack job. I don't care if she's pregnant with my baby or not. She is clearly dangerous. So Scott filed the restraining order. Obviously, Scott was not harmed in this whole process, but it's just like he knew she was capable of some pretty scary stuff, being that he went as far to file a restraining order.
Big time.
And it was suspected that Giselle was in possession of a firearm because part of the restraining order that Scott filed included threats that if Scott didn't stop talking to Michelle, Giselle threatened to shoot herself. So, and clearly she's not one to make open-ended threats. She was making death threats about Michelle when she was being secretly recorded. She followed through with that.
Yeah.
So it just makes me think, like, was that the cause of Michelle's death? Like, did she actually have a firearm? Or, it's such a question mark that we'll never know how Michelle actually died. But
unless she ever says anything, but who knows?
Yep. So that is the story of
Michelle Lee.
The unfortunate murder of Michelle Lee by the hands of a former best friend.
Yeah, well, thanks, Allie. And it can't be said enough in these situations. If someone seems unhinged, like, try and take his best. Not saying obviously Michelle didn't, or Scott. Obviously he did. He put the restraining order, but you gotta.
Yeah, trust your gut.
Yeah, man, because people out there like this exist.
It's scary. If you think someone's bad news, they're probably bad news. So
Exactly so. Super sad, super unfortunate, and senseless. But all right, Allie, thank you. That's it for today, everybody. That's it for this week. We'll be back on Monday. We'll see you then.